It's hard for us to imagine what life must be like for a person who doesn't see or hear. Just imagine the things you wouldn't be able to do in your ordinary day, from waking until bedtime, without sight and sound. That's a very difficult circumstance for most of us to imagine, but for some of us, it's a devastating reality.
The doctor has told me that, I'm not sure how long I have, approximately 5 or 10 years, because I've lost 80% of my vision currently, so probably within the next 5 or 10 years I could be completely blind.
David was born deafblind, and he needs 24-hour care and supervision. He has some other health issues. He has very bad curvature of the spine, so it prevents him from walking very well.
I have an older brother, Andrew. He's deafblind. He's living in Brantford, Ontario right now. He lived there his whole life. He went to special school for the deafblind there, and when he turned 18, just like any other teenager, he moved away from home because they had a special independent living facility there.
David was 27 years old when I took my first job since he was born. But I only work within 6 hours a day because I can only work when my intervener's with David. I could not keep him without somebody like that, because David loves to be busy. He loves to go places. He loves to swim, and he's very social. He likes to be where people are.
An intervener is a person who empowers a deaf-blind person. They help them, they guide them in their choices, help them in their everyday living skills, empowers them with confidence. Confidence is hugely important in anyone's life. A constant positive exposure. Teaches people how to socialize, how to intermingle with people so they're not isolated, where they don't have to stay at home. They get them out into the world. It's definitely important to get out there and be in the world and do it safely.
The interveners are taught and to communicate with an individual on his level using the language that he prefers himself, and it varies from one individual to another. And they develop a rapport and a language that is able to provide clear communication for both. And that language, if it's tactile, if it's on the hand, then the individual and the intervener develop a system or a code of language that gives them clear, constant communication so that there are no misunderstandings.
Communication is huge. I always enjoy telling her all of the new things that are happening in the world. I am definitely a link between her and the outside world.
It's very difficult for aging parents to look after adult deafblind children. Right now, if a parent were to pass away and leave behind a deafblind child, it's to be hoped that siblings in the family would be able to provide care for him, and that may happen in some cases.
My parents have prepared for the future where I am Andrew's guardian, but not everyone is prepared. They don't know what to do. There may not be anyone else. They may be alone, and that's their deafblind child's their only child. So there isn't the option of siblings.
Who is going to help their child when they need it? Who's going to be there for their support? How are they going to be able to communicate with the world at large? Also, there's worry about their adult child, being manipulated. How would they communicate that, and to whom? Would they know who to go to for help? They're very vulnerable adults. And so that is certainly a paramount worry for parents.
That's what every parent, every family member worries about when they have any disabled child, is what happens when I'm not here, because the options are extremely limited.
It would be more a personal care facility where he would just go and stay there all the time. The money would be used for his personal care, and there would be no intervention program. Somebody to come and take him out into the community, and or maybe a couple hours a week, but that would not work for David, because he wouldn't thrive in that environment. He would get he would regress.
A large number would go into nursing homes, and that's very unfortunate because there is no one in nursing homes trained in deafblindness, no one who can communicate with that individual. So as you can imagine, he becomes very isolated. No social interaction, no one to listen to him or care for his needs, no one to understand what he's experiencing, no one to explain to him what's happening around him, no one to even explain what's on his dinner plate, because they don't do that in nursing homes. They're not trained to work with deaf-blind individuals. And unfortunately, that's where they are going now.
Yes, they have care, but it's just to ensure they get fed and cleaned and your basic essential needs. So someone who is deaf-blind is just there. They have no one to talk to. And in New Brunswick, if you go to a nursing home, you lose all your intervention. There's no communication anymore because no one knows sign language. There's no social activities. You don't get to go out. It's just you're there in your room and people bring you food. And for a deaf-blind person, it almost sounds like a prison.
The Canadian Deaf-Blind Association is responding to those fears and those concerns about adult deaf-blind by establishing a facility here in the Fredericton area. We're calling it the Curtis Complex. It would provide a safe, affordable living arrangement for deaf-blind individuals where they would have 24-hour intervention and supervision, where they would have a low ratio of staff to individual, it'd be 2 to 1, where a communication, whether it's tactile or sign language, would be available to them at all the time, where the staff would be trained and knowledgeable about deaf-blindness, where they would have opportunities for recreation, for social interaction, for education if that's what they wanted. They would learn to live independently to the optimal level that they're capable of.
They have their basic needs taken care of, but they have all those other things that make someone, make you human. We all go out, we all do things, we've got stuff we have to do. And we shouldn't rob a deaf-blind person of those things.
They won't have to feel isolated. They'll be in a safe environment. They'll be with other like-minded people. There'll be a staff around them that'll be able to be with them the entire time to get them out and keep them involved with society. They'll definitely have a self-confidence. Just having like-minded people around you gives you that confidence, that little bit of self-esteem that you need to know that you're not alone in the world.
If NJ had to, in order to live independently, if he had to move to Ontario, first off, I'd be very hurt. It's not really what we want for him. That's removing him from his own home, his own surroundings, his own friends, just so that he can live independently. It's not a good option.
It would mean that my brother could live within close proximity to me. Because right now, he's in a great place and he's happy. But there is the difficulty with travel and expenses, and we only get to see him so many times a year between him coming here and us going there.
And right now, the organization has been very fortunate in having land donated specifically for this project here in the Fredericton area. We have the promise of funding to build the facility. What we lack is operational funding.
The best thing that could happen for the future would be that New Brunswick caught up to Ontario and we had the same facilities that he has now, and I could have my brother here. It would save both of us a fortune in traveling, and it would be so much easier on him to be close to all of his family. His favorite thing in the world is family. And right now, we're so far away.
New Brunswick is the only province in Canada, that does not have a government-funded residential facility for deafblind adults.
We have over 50 consumers just within CDBA who are deafblind. And to think that their future, their options are so limited. And this is the only province that's doing that. And we have nothing to offer them. It's wrong.
$1.1 million for operational funding. That sounds like a lot of money, but it isn't. When you consider the good that will come from it, the safety of one of the most vulnerable groups in our society, their well-being, their ability to become independent, to learn independent living skills, to be able to feel safe, to have the social interaction that we all take for granted with people with whom they can communicate and have some rapport with, where they feel that they belong.
This will give an opportunity to be around people that are like me. I'll have a team of support. So I think that'll be a huge confidence builder. I think just mental health wise too, it'll be a good place to be.
This cannot be discounted as something that can be put aside year after year after year. At some point, government has to say, yes, this is the facility that we need in this province. We do not want to be the only province in Canada who does not address the needs of deafblind adults, and we're going to do it right now.